Alright, hello everyone and welcome to this short video. Over the next few moments, we'll show you how to configure and use the Company News application. So to get started, I will select the App Store from the portal menu. Navigate over to the COVID-19 section and select Company News. Now, as you can see here, there's a short synopsis about the application, a number of screenshots, and with one click, I can add this to my tenant. Okay. So before we run the application, let's take a look at what's happening behind the scenes. So the first thing that I want to do is look at the data this application is using. So I've navigated over to Data Entity, which is AgilePoint's Data Designer, and I'll select the entity for Company News. Now, as you can see here, we have a number of columns, content, right? This is the body of the message that you'd like to broadcast, who it was published by and the date, as well as the title for the news item. And then lastly here, you'll see we have a yes/no button for archive status. If I select yes here, this will hide that news item from view. So now that we've looked at the data, let's go back to Build Apps and take a look at the application itself. Now, as you can see here, there's been a number of forms that have been pre-created on my behalf. That is the ability to manage existing news items, view all news, and this is what your employees will be leveraging when they want to see the latest from across the company, update news, and create a new news item. In just a moment, we'll show you how we can secure this so that only the appropriate parties have the permission to add or modify existing news items. So what I'll do next, I'll select the application from the menu, and then we'll click Publish. Now, as you're seeing here, I have a dialog box that asks me if I'd like to set permissions or to notify any users of this application. Now I realize that some of you may have set up AgilePoint for the first time and may not have enabled application permissions. So to do that, let's go back to the portal menu and open up Settings in a new tab. From Settings, on the left-hand menu, you'll see an orange gear for tenant settings. And what I want to do next is select Yes under Enable Application Permission Control. After I've selected Yes, I'll click Save, and I have now enabled application permissions. So let's go back and set permissions here. As we mentioned a little earlier, our big concern here is ensuring that the right users have the ability to edit, modify, or add new news entries. So to do that, we'll want to restrict access to initiate some aspects of the application. So I'll go over to Initiators here, and we can select the first category, Manage News. Now you're seeing down here, I'll want to unselect Enable Access for All. And then at this point, I can specify individual users or groups who would have permission to this part of the application. In this case here, I'm going to select my News Administrators group and then click Update. Now we just went through that process for the Manage News function. As you're seeing here, we would want to go through the same steps for the new company news as well as update company news. Okay, so now that we've deployed the application, let's check the end user experience. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my home page and I'm going to click the company news application. Now, as you can see here, there are no items available. So what I'll want to do next is play the role of a news administrator, add a few entries, and then we can refresh this form here. So I'm going to access this application as an administrator, so to speak. So to do that, I'll go back to the Work Center. I'll click the green icon here to see my list of applications. And then I'll select the app for Manage News. Now, as we saw just a moment ago, there are no items currently, so let's add a couple. Okay, so let's give our first piece of news a title, and then the body of the content itself. Now, if I wanted to bring attention to particular areas, I can highlight them, underline, I can include links and images, right? Essentially, I have full control here to make this news item look as I'd like it to. Now, this, of course, has been published by me. I don't want to archive this, but I might revisit this later when this item is no longer relevant. And then for now, let's just submit this item. Okay, so we have one new record here. Let's add one more. Okay, so now we have two news items. So if I go back to the end user experience, right, we've brought up that form. Let me just refresh it, and now we'll see two news entries, nicely formatted, easily accessible for everyone across the organization. That concludes the content for this video. Thank you so much for watching.